All right, so are you ready to unlock the secrets of captivating an audience?
Oh, yeah.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into public speaking.
Okay.
And we're going to be guided by a true classic, um, How to Attract and Hold an Audience by J.B.E.
Interesting.
Now, before you think we're about to dust off some ancient relic from the days of powdered wigs,
Right.
this book was published in 1917.
Okay.
But the insights are surprisingly relevant,
Oh, wow.
even in our modern world of
Yeah.
TED Talks and online presentations.
It's amazing how much the ways we communicate have changed.
Right.
But the core principles of connecting with an audience
Yeah.
through a powerful message remain timeless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're focusing on a chapter all about delivery methods.
Okay.
The part where you actually step up and speak.
Mm-hmm.
J.B.E. outlines 4 main methods,
Uh-huh.
and we're not just going to list them.
Okay.
We're going to explore the surprising pros and cons of each.
Oh, cool.
And get this, one very common method is actually strongly discouraged by the author.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. You've got me curious now.
Yeah.
What could be so bad about a particular delivery style
Right.
that it would elicit such a strong reaction even back then?
That's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
Yeah.
Let's start by setting the stage.
Okay.
The book opens with a powerful statement
Mm-hmm.
about the supreme, inevitable hour of delivery,
Wow.
being the culmination of all the speaker's effort.
It's like the moment of truth.
Exactly.
All your prep work, all your research,
Yeah.
it all comes down to that moment when you stand up and deliver. I know I've definitely felt that pressure before, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's when all your preparation crystallizes into action.
Right.
Think about your own experiences,
Yeah.
whether it's giving a presentation at work, pitching an idea,
Yeah.
or even just trying to get your point across in a heated discussion.
Right.
That moment of delivery is when you truly connect with your audience.
Okay, enough buildup. Let's get to these methods.
Yeah.
J.B.E. lays out 4.
Okay.
Reading from a manuscript,
Mm-hmm.
memorizing the entire speech,
Okay.
speaking from notes,
Uh-huh.
and extemporaneous speaking.
Before we unpack each one,
Yeah.
take a moment to think about which of these methods
Aye.
you naturally gravitate towards.
Right.
And why,
Mm-hmm.
what's worked for you in the past, what
Okay.
hasn't.
Now, here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The author comes out swinging against reading directly from a manuscript.
Really?
Yeah, he straight up calls it not public speaking
Yeah.
and compares it to an actor reading from a cue card.
Interesting.
It's hard to imagine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those speeches we remember as so powerful,
Right.
like Patrick Henry's "Give me liberty or give me death,"
Mm-hmm.
being delivered with the speaker's eyes glued to a page.
Think about it.
Right.
You lose that all-important connection with the audience.
Yeah.
When you're focused on reading,
Yeah.
it risks sounding monotonous,
Mm.
lacking the natural inflections and energy
Yeah.
that make a speech engaging.
So manuscript reading is out,
Okay.
or at least strongly discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
What about memorization?
Okay.
It seems appealing
Yeah.
because you'd think it'd guarantee
Right.
a perfectly polished word-for-word delivery.
It might seem that way.
Yeah.
But the danger is sounding robotic and rehearsed.
Right.
Like a department store demonstrator
Uh-huh.
reciting a sales pitch.
I see.
You might hear the words,
Mm-hmm.
but are you truly engaged as a listener?
Right.
Plus, imagine the potential for disaster if you forget a line.
Oh, yeah.
You're suddenly scrambling to get back on track.
Right.
And that throws you off completely.
I can see that happening,
Yeah.
suddenly drawing a blank and panicking.
Totally.
But hang on.
Yeah.
J.B.E. does mention famous speakers
Uh-huh.
who successfully used memorization,
Right.
like Julius Caesar and Robert Ingersoll.
That's true.
Yeah.
But those individuals likely possessed exceptional memory skills and dedicated immense time to practice.
Wow.
And remember Dr. Wallace Radcliffe,
Yeah.
who we mentioned earlier?
Hmm.
He memorized entire speeches
Oh, I-
without ever writing them down.
That's impressive.
He used a technique called a memory palace,
Oh, wow.
which helps you visualize your speech
Okay.
as you move through a familiar place in your mind.
Interesting.
It's a testament to the fact that even memorization can be done in a way that keeps your delivery fresh and engaging.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that even the seemingly rigid methods
Right.
can have hidden depths.
Exactly.
But memory palaces aside,
Yeah.
memorizing an entire speech might still be daunting for most of us.
Right.
So where does that leave us?
Notes, maybe?
Nose maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking from notes is presented as a more practical approach,
Okay.
especially for those new to public speaking.
Right.
They provide structure
Yeah.
without being as restrictive as a manuscript.
Hmm?
J.B.E. actually provides a sample note structure in the book.
Oh, cool.
Think of it like a lawyer's brief
Okay.
or a well-organized outline
Mm-hmm.
with main points and supporting ideas clearly laid out.
That kind of structure can be incredibly helpful.
Right.
But I imagine there's an art to using notes effectively.
Yeah.
How do you prevent yourself from just reading off them like a script?
It's all about striking a balance.
Right.
Visual cues in your notes can be very helpful.
Okay.
Things like highlighting key words or using different colors to make certain points stand out.
Right.
But ultimately, the goal is to use notes as a support,
Yeah.
not a crutch.
Right.
You want to refer to them just enough to stay on track, but still allow yourself to connect with the audience and speak with passion.
So it's like having a safety net.
Exactly.
One you don't want to be completely reliant on.
Right.
The more you practice, the less you'll need those notes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The more familiar you become with your material.
Right.
The more you can internalize it and deliver it naturally, think of it like a musical score.
Okay.
It provides structure for the musician, but allows for interpretation and expression. And that brings us to the method J.B.E. seems most passionate about,
Okay.
extemporaneous speaking.
Extemporaneous speak.
You've probably heard the term, but what does it really mean?
Right.
It's about connecting with your audience in the moment.
Okay.
Speaking with spontaneity and passion and being able to adapt to the energy of the room.
It sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Almost like a performance,
Exactly.
but also a little terrifying.
Yeah.
Like walking a tightrope without a net.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's a paradox.
Okay.
Because extemporaneous speaking requires thorough preparation, but relies on in-the-moment inspiration.
So it's like having a deep well of knowledge to draw from.
Exactly.
But not being tied to a specific script.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
You know your key points and the overall flow of your message, but you're not bound to specific wording.
Right.
It allows you to respond to the audience,
Okay.
emphasize points that resonate with them, and even adjust your message based on their reactions.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I could see how that kind of flexibility would be impossible with a manuscript or even memorized speech.
Right.
But how do you prevent yourself from going off on tangents?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or losing your train of thought?
It's a skill that takes practice.
Right.
One strategy is to start with a strong mental outline,
Okay.
knowing the key points you want to hit and the overall arc of your message.
Right.
Rehearse your speech,
Okay.
but don't get too attached to specific phrasing.
So it's like having a roadmap,
Yeah,
but being open to taking detours along the way
exactly.
if they lead to interesting discoveries.
That's a fantastic analogy.
Yeah.
And remember, the more you practice speaking
Okay.
in any setting,
Right.
the more comfortable you'll become with thinking on your feet. Even casual conversations with friends can be an opportunity to hone your skills.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot
Yeah,
between preparation and spontaneity.
precisely.
Okay.
And that's where J.B.E.'s insights become truly valuable.
Right.
He doesn't prescribe a rigid formula,
Mm-hmm.
but instead encourages you to experiment, to find the approach that works best for you
Right.
and the specific speaking situation you're in.
It's like having a toolbox
Yeah.
filled with different speaking tools.
Exactly.
You wouldn't use a hammer for every job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You assess the situation,
Uh-huh.
choose the right tool,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even combine a few for the best results.
Right.
J.B.E. even talks about blending methods.
Okay.
For example, memorizing key sections for impact,
Mm-hmm.
speaking extemporaneously for the rest,
Okay.
or using a blend of notes and memorized passages.
So it's not just about choosing a method,
Right.
but about understanding the strengths of each and finding what works best for you. Right.
Precisely.
Yep.
And that might change depending on the context.
Right.
A formal presentation to a board of directors might require a more structured,
Yeah.
data-driven approach,
Mm-hmm.
while a motivational speech to a group of volunteers
Okay.
could benefit from more energy and emotion.
It's almost like finding the right outfit for the occasion.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And just like with fashion,
Right.
developing your public speaking style
Yeah.
takes experimentation
Mm-hmm.
and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone.
So if J.B.E. isn't giving us a one-size-fits-all answer,
Right.
how do we know which approach is the right one
Yeah.
for our next big presentation or speech?
He provides guidance,
Okay.
but ultimately encourages us to think critically, and discover what works best for us as individuals.
Right.
Remember, this book was written over 100 years ago.
Wow.
Yet the core principles of effective speaking remain surprisingly relevant.
It's like he's giving us permission to break free from those traditional notions of what a good speech should look like.
Right.
And find our own unique voice.
Exactly. Yeah. He's encouraging us to become more effective communicators in whatever way works best for us.
Right.
And that process of self-discovery is what makes public speaking so fascinating.
I agree.
It's not just about delivering information. It's about connecting with an audience, sharing your perspective, and inspiring action.
So let's put this into practice. Let's say you're prepping for a big presentation. You've got your topic, your research, your slides all set. What are some practical steps you can take to choose the right delivery method and really nail that supreme inevitable hour J.B.E. talks about? What questions should we be asking ourselves?
First, consider the context. What's the occasion? Is it a formal conference, a casual team meeting a TED Talk style presentation?
Right.
Each setting might call for a different approach. Then think about your audience. Who are they? What are their interests and expectations? Tailoring your delivery to their needs is crucial for effective communication.
So if I'm presenting to a group of scientists, I might use more technical language and a logical flow. But if I'm speaking to a group of artists, I might incorporate more storytelling and visual elements.
That's a perfect example. And don't forget about your own strengths and limitations.
Right.
Are you naturally comfortable with improvisation, or do you prefer a more structured approach? Being self-aware will help you choose a method that aligns with your personality and skill set.
It's about finding that balance between pushing yourself to grow while also playing to your strengths. You want to challenge yourself without setting yourself up for a meltdown.
Exactly.
Right.
And remember, there's no shame in starting with a more structured approach, like notes or even a partial manuscript. As you gain experience and confidence, you can gradually experiment with more extemporaneous elements. It's a journey, not a destination, right? Small steps, consistent practice, and a willingness to learn and adapt. That's the key.
It's like learning any new skill.
Exactly.
You wouldn't expect to become a virtuoso pianist overnight.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And throughout that journey, remember J.B.E.'s core message. Public speaking isn't just about reciting words. It's about connecting with your audience, sharing your passion, and making a lasting impact.
So as we move toward the final act of this deep dive, let's leave our listeners with a challenge.
That's good.
What's one small step you can take today to become a more confident and engaging speaker? Maybe it's joining a Toastmasters group, practicing a short speech in front of the mirror, or even just paying closer attention to the delivery styles of your favorite speakers.
Whatever that step may be, embrace it with enthusiasm and a commitment to continuous improvement. Remember, the power to communicate effectively is within you. Waiting to be unleashed. And with a little guidance and a lot of practice, you can master the art of public speaking and make your voice heard.
I love that challenge. It reminds us that we don't have to wait for some big stage or formal presentation to start working on our speaking skills. Every conversation, every meeting, every time you share your thoughts with someone, that's an opportunity to practice those core principles we've been talking about.
It's true. Every time you speak, you're connecting with an audience, whether it's one person or 1,000. And the more you do it, the more comfortable and confident you'll become.
That's like working out a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Speaking of strong points, something that struck me about the source material is that J.B.E. seems to really favor extemporaneous speaking. He almost presents it as the ideal method. But is that always the case?
That's a great question. And like most things in communication, the answer isn't always black and white, while extemporaneous speaking allows for incredible flexibility and connection. There are definitely times when a more structured approach is needed. Imagine you're giving a highly technical presentation about a complex scientific concept or sharing sensitive financial data. In those situations, a manuscript can ensure accuracy and precision, which is crucial.
I can see that. You wouldn't want to accidentally misspeak about a complex formula
Right.
or misrepresent important figures.
Exactly.
Especially if the stakes are high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even if you are reading from a manuscript in those situations,
Right.
you can still apply the principles of engaging delivery. You can still maintain eye contact, modulate your voice, and use pauses for emphasis.
Okay.
Remember, it's about bringing those words to life, not just reciting them.
It makes you realize that there's an art to every method.
Right.
Even something as seemingly simple as reading aloud.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the heart of J.B.E.'s message.
Okay.
It's not about choosing one method over another, but about understanding the unique strengths and limitations of each and using them strategically to achieve your communication goals.
It's like being a chef.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use the same knife for every task in the kitchen, would you?
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
You have different tools for different jobs.
Right.
And you choose the right one based on the situation.
Yeah.
And just like a skilled chef might use a blend of techniques to create a masterpiece dish.
Right.
You might find yourself combining speaking methods
to
achieve the greatest impact.
It's like becoming a master communicator.
Exactly.
Blending memorized passages, using notes strategically, or even improvising sections.
Yeah.
Within a more structured framework.
Yeah.
You're constantly learning and evolving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what's so exciting about this field.
Right.
There's always room to grow and refine your skills.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the timeless wisdom of J.B.E., what's the one nugget of insight you hope our listeners take away? What's that spark you want them to carry with them as they embark on their own public speaking journeys?
Here's what I find so powerful about this source.
Okay.
It reminds us that the power to communicate effectively is already within us. It's not about conforming to some rigid set of rules or striving for unattainable perfection.
Yeah.
It's about embracing your unique voice, connecting with your audience authentically, and sharing your message with passion and purpose.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And remember, the next time you find yourself facing that supreme, inevitable hour of delivery, take a deep breath.
Okay.
Channel your inner J.B.E. And let your voice shine.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing yourself to become the most confident and engaging speaker you can be.
Great advice. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.